And students in the West Oso ISD have also made the return to remote learning today. This after that district was notified of multiple positive cases of COVID at their campuses. We spoke with the superintendent, Conrado Garcia, who said it wasn't just students, it was also adults who had tested positive, and that every campus in the district had been affected in some way. He says he understands the burden the decision to return to remote learning can sometimes place on parents, but he also says their number one priority will always be the safety of their students and staff.
I think of the inconvenience. However, the virus does not think about that. It's about life or death, and I take that very seriously.
Remote learning will continue at West Oso until further notice. Meantime, all the campuses there will be cleaned and sanitized. Garcia said the district would reevaluate that situation after their holiday break.